Hi, it's Paul Funk at Exact Marketing Advice Podcast. With me today is Michael Austin from Sperling in Massachusetts. Michael, welcome.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So jumping right in, I stopped at the first point on your bio that you got into web design at the age of 12. How did this happen, or what was the inspiration?
Absolutely. So I think starting with the inspiration, I was a kid kind of just floating around my parents' store, and above us was a web design agency. And it'll sound a little weird, but the owner was 24 years old and drove a Porsche. So looking at that as a 12-year-old, what do you think I wanted to do for a living? And I decided it was web design, and found myself heading over to the local library, picking up books on how to develop websites, and kind of flipped a coin. I said, I'm going to pick one of two things. At the time, this is the 90s, so Prodigy or The Simpsons. And I chose The Simpsons. Around that same time as launching it, Fox got a little threatened. They weren't sure about copyright laws yet, and said, you got to pay us $2 million or shut your site down right away. And that was the moment I go, I think I should be doing something here. And my dad, being the entrepreneur that he is, said, make some flyers, get out there, hand them out, and see what happens. So $200 a pop, I started rollerblading around town, handing out flyers, doing them for travel agents, nail salons, and any local business out in a suburb of Chicago there. So it's been a lifelong passion. I'm in my 40s now, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, to say you're an early adopter is an understatement there. So jumping ahead today, you are the business development director at Sperling. How is business?
Business is not the same as it was pre-COVID, but it is definitely increasing over the past several years compared to what it was, I want to say, around 22, 23. There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions, including myself here with Sperling, and a lot of consolidation has gotten rid of some of the noise in the market space, I think. But with all the uncertainty in the world nowadays, things do move slower. So it's a little more complicated to scale, but I think we're doing okay at that. It just takes twice the amount of work.
I agree that we've all been challenged since 2020. Are there any secret ingredients that are allowing you to thrive since that time?
Absolutely. I'd say that getting out there and being in person, it still seems awkward to most people, but it's really the way to do it. We got so accustomed to put out your social media and, mass market, email everybody, start newsletters. That was great during COVID, but what people forgot is that what we do in marketing is communicate with people. So going out, shaking hands, understanding real problems, and drawing something up on a cocktail napkin is actually probably the best thing you can be doing in today's world while everybody's inbox is slammed with spam.
Can you tell us a little bit about the businesses that you target and why you choose to target those businesses as clients?
Absolutely. So we have a pretty wide range of clients, from small business to enterprise level clients, Fortune 500. I myself specialize in mid-market, and I focus on helping large organizations who need to augment all of their marketing, whether it's the design, development, the content, the strategy, any of that. And I specialize in taking the complex and making it as simple as possible. I personally focus on that because of the challenge. B2B problems, there's a lot behind the scenes that is done. And I actually enjoy that more than I enjoy in front of the scenes. Yet my background started in making pretty pictures so people would, comment and like on them. So, it's a bit of a different play. But the complexities and turning those into workflows and solving real business challenges seems to be what drives me towards the mid-market work.
I noticed that you have quite a roster of services, and you mentioned in our brief discussion last week that you have quite a large amount of clients. Can you break that down for the audience a little bit? How many people you're working with?
Absolutely. So at any given time, we're running about 300 to 500 clients, but we have multiple different types of services. It could be content creation. It could be the social media strategy. And one of our favorites is our video production and our photography. But then with all the different types of needs that people have, we also are building out websites all the time, throwing up billboards, doing podcasts, doing Spotify commercials. So anything really that is on that marketing side is how we help everyone out. And I can't say that I like one better than the other. I just like the fact that we get to understand the brand inside and out and test theories and actually watch them go to market and succeed or fail so that we can improve that brand's messaging and marketing.
So, is there something missing from the services that you offer? Is there a piece or a product or a service or a platform that you'd like to add this year?
100%. So we are focusing a lot on implementing AI into clients' needs. We utilize it a lot internally, but when it comes to clients' needs, finding the right path is a little bit more complicated as it's, still in its infant stage, if you ask me. And, it really depends on the use case, but it is an offering that I think we need to focus heavily on in the coming years.
Terrific. I appreciate that perspective. Are there any unique challenges to the region that you're working in? Any unique challenges in the New England market?
I would say when it comes to a familiar culture around here, there was a lot of tech startups in Boston over the past 20 years, and that was a space that I spent a lot of time in. That space right now is not the same it once was, and the let's say the educational piece of working with a lot of really smart tech guys is lacking, but it's also creating many more challenges throughout the whole industry because all those tech people are now focusing on healthcare, nonprofits, higher ed, and financial. And those were used to be, personally some sweet spots as nobody really hit those as hard. Now it's a little bit saturated as these folks have nowhere to go. They're not sure what to do. So they're all starting up their own little businesses. And there's about 1,000 to 10,000 more contractors out there than there were yesteryear.
So how do you go about getting new clients with all that activity in the market?
Just continue to put out great work and position myself and the agency as thought leaders. Right? There's many people out there talking. There's many people out there saying they can do something, showing some results from, let's just say, 2020, 2021, but trying to push out brand new things, not focus on what we did 2 years ago, but focus on what the needs of the market are today and try to communicate that through, social, through blogs, webinars, and then, of course, in-person events.
Reading about Sperling on the website and LinkedIn pages, it seems that you're in growth mode. Could you characterize that for the audience?
Absolutely. So over the past 2 years, there's been two major acquisitions. One of them was Single Source Marketing that brought in additional social media marketing and strategy, bringing in a lot of agency of record type clients into our company. And then there was my agency, which was Accomplished, previously known as Create and Conquer, which was very focused on enterprise level web design. So the merger of those two brought not only new clients, but increased service offerings. And it's really allowing us to do things that we used to have to turn down and get out of certain niches that we were once in.
In talking to different agencies, as they scale up, it seems to be a big challenge to maintain that quality of service, that personalized touch. How are you accomplishing that?
That is a lifelong goal, my friend, lifelong goal. That is something that I sit there every single day, banging my head against a wall. And really the simplest answer is value the people you work with and constantly educate, teach new things, listen to the problems that they're having, and never be set in your ways. There's just impossible in this industry. Our technology changes fast, our methodologies change fast, our workflows change fast. So you need to be able to pivot and get everybody on board. And that is really hard thing to do with junior level employees, as they're already new, and it's hard to do with senior level employees because they're stuck in their ways. So my goal has been to educate as much as possible, and really just open it up to the team. It starts about creating a good framework that's going to work the second we start to identify that framework is no longer working.
I was asked to recap a meeting that I had yesterday, and I replied that I think I'm becoming my client's therapist more than his marketing solutions provider. But communication is so key. Along those lines, you mentioned competition. You mentioned a lot of small startups. How are you able to maintain a profit margin that keeps you in business?
That is a good old secret of the trade. I think I have numbers that we aim for. Don't want to say every project is profitable. I think some are chosen simply for the nature of what the project is or the nature of what the client is. But the goal is always to increase the internal efficiencies and make sure that the pricing externally is still competitive. I definitely will say that we are not the cheapest ever, but we are also not the most expensive. You're somewhere in the middle, and really finding the right client is key to doing that. That is a very hard task, and why I've been in biz dev for about 15 years now, focusing solely on client acquisition.
Certainly, no one in this business can set it and forget it these days. Is there some average of touch points that you try to do with a client, either ramping up a campaign or maintaining a campaign?
Absolutely. So I love to do strategy workshops, right? So in the very beginning, understanding anything from their brand to their audience to what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past is key. In addition to that, as we are realizing here in Sperling, there is no more setting and forgetting. There is no more just run the campaigns like ads like we used to. There's more complexities. So we're starting to implement some new checkpoints in our workflow where we are running down the list of our clients that are running any of these campaigns and seeing how the ROI is for them, and putting more attention against revenue focused ROI than likes and engagement and any of that. So if we start to see that it's not increasing the ROI, then we need to take a step back and give it at least a minimum of an hour to 3 of strategy internally if we don't have to pull the client in themselves.
Yeah, none of this is successful unless we're delivering ROI today. There is no question about that.
Absolutely.
So, any other advice that you would offer agencies to thrive in 2025?
I would say figure out AI, right? AI seems to be the buzzword of the year and all that, but a lot of agencies are terrified of it. A lot of writers are terrified of it, designers, developers, they all feel it's a job killer. And myself, I just look at it as another tool in my toolbox. It's not perfect. It never will be perfect. It'll never take my job. And, if it can speed up my ability to produce results, then I should be utilizing it and utilizing it properly. I would never go on to a stock site and just take all the stock stuff and say, here you go. Here's your photo gallery, or here's your, ad. There's, a lot of finessing, a lot of customizing, a lot of unique work. And something I even applied to a personal artistic brand that I work on, where I use a lot of AI elements, but the composition is blended with, personal drawing and AI drawing, and then video work and all that. So the goal is to never just let the tool do whatever it does, but it is to actually embrace it and not be afraid of it. So I think that is something the industry really should be focusing on. I think there's a lot more agencies nowadays saying, maybe we should embrace it, but there are still a lot of folks in the industry who are terrified that it is what is killing their jobs. And I think it's the fact that they're not utilizing it that's really going to be the end of their job, not the tool itself.
So don't fear AI, work with it and get to know it, I assume.
Yes. Yeah. But don't overuse it, because if you look at LinkedIn nowadays, you can tell that 90% of those posts out there are overusing it. So find the right balance for you, for your team, your quality, and more importantly, what works for your clients and their audience. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the work you're doing yourself. It is about communicating to your client's audience. And, you have to make sure that you've got the right balance there.
Well, I really appreciate the thoughtful answers to these questions, Michael. Last one, an easy one for you. What is the favorite part of your job?
Talking to people, just getting out, meeting somebody new, right? As working behind computers for so long of my life, and a lot of that time spent really honing in the craft and focusing on being absolute best, maybe a perfectionist. I prefer actually to just get out there and meet people, let myself make mistakes, let myself be a little nervous or excited or any of that, and deal with the human interaction, the human side of everything. So that would be the absolute favorite. Plus, when you can close deals and have a drink with a nice guy and maybe a meal, and talk shop, much better than trying to yell that into AI and get some responses. So, dual-edged sword there with the AI. But yeah, it's the people side of it, which I think a lot of people in our industry don't want to do the people side of it. It's scary for them.
I am exactly like you. I like to meet people face to face, and it does seem to be a lost art, not a last art, a lost art. You want to just expand on a favorite project or something that you're looking forward to coming down the pike?
There are so many favorite projects, and I think I will go with my personal favorite, which I don't know if it's coming down the pike anymore. I think we just do a little less than we used to, but for a past 12 years, we've been working with the MSPCA here in Boston, which is home for adoptable animals and help save animals. And we've done everything from their website to applications for pet adoptions, and increased I think their donations in the first year we started working with them increased by 4 million that year and continue to go up. And it's not even the website or the functions or the marketing that we've done. It's the people, the cause, and just how many people we've brought joy to through that project, including my own children who went through the adoption process of a dog 2.5 years ago. And we almost were disappointed, almost didn't find the dog we wanted. And then the dog that we ended up with found us. Was not supposed to end up with kids, is what they said. And she is their best friend now. So it's got a special place in my heart, and it always will.
Well, Michael, it's my pleasure speaking with you today. This is the Marketing Advice Podcast with Michael Austin of Sperling in Massachusetts.
Thanks, Paul. It was a pleasure being here.